Tonight, the owner of the Port Perry smelter caught up in a worldwide computer hack, and a new fire truck to boost firefighting capabilities at Corn SES. Good evening. Metal giant Nyrstar has shut down a number of its IT systems after a cyber attack by an unknown group targeted the multinational corporation. The company's email systems are currently down across its offices and operating facilities.
A cyber breach of global proportions. Metal giant Nyrstar are reeling from an attack on their servers. Their systems have been infiltrated by an unknown assailant in a worldwide attack which may have targeted Port Perry's lead smelter.
On a very wide scale, awareness of cybersecurity attacks is becoming higher.
The company's headquarters in Zurich, Switzerland, along with their metal processing and mining operations, were affected. Targeted cyber attacks on manufacturers and industrial plants are on the rise, with many control systems running 24/7 and often left unprotected.
The industrial automation systems or control systems used by corporations such as this are many years, about a decade behind.
Nyrstar have said that the cyber attack issued has been contained, and Nyrstar is currently working on a technical recovery plan with key IT partners and global security agencies. And at the current time, Nyrstar's metal processing and mining operations are not operationally impacted. Tracking down those responsible is almost impossible. It can be speculated that an attack of this size would have been orchestrated by a state or belligerent group, with companies of this scale often falling victim to cyber warfare. Attacks can shut down operations, but it appears that Nyrstar has avoided any serious delays to production. Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Temperatures will continue to rise across the state this week, and we're in for a scorcher tomorrow. Residents are being urged to check they're prepared for potential bushfires. For more, we're joined by Casey Treloar in Port Lincoln. And Casey, the CFS has issued a severe fire danger warning for tomorrow.
Yes, that's right, Louise. Tomorrow's conditions now expected to be more severe than first thought. Strong northerly winds and 45, the expected top here in Port Lincoln. We caught up with local CFS earlier today, and here's what they had to say.
Tomorrow we have predicted total fire bans for all 3 fire ban districts over on the Eyre Peninsula and West Coast, so West Coast, Eastern Eyre Peninsula and Lower Eyre Peninsula.
It's also looking like we might have some dry thunderstorms, so real fears of lightning sparking a possible blaze.
Obviously dry lightning's a means to start fires, so we have to stay informed with various tools that we have to keep a track of where potential lightning strikes hit the ground, so we can respond as crews accordingly.
It's been 10 years now since the last devastating bushfire here in 2009 that destroyed multiple homes and buildings around the township, a day that hopefully won't be repeated tomorrow.
Keep informed, potentially don't put yourselves in areas where you've got restricted access or areas which may not be ideal in a fire situation.
Now, if you don't have a bushfire survival plan in place, please get onto the CFS website to get that organised. And for up-to-date bushfire information on the day, you can stay informed on the website there too. Louise?
An overnight shed fire south of Port Perry had local emergency services scrambling to put it out before it spread to a resident's home. The blaze at Warnertown at Abattoir Road is believed to have started from a gas leak. Both the Country Fire Service and the Metropolitan Fire Service were quick to react, treating the threat level seriously during a sweltering night, which had temperatures in the high 20s. Fire crews were able to extinguish the blaze before anyone was injured. A crack has appeared on the pipeline which pumps water between Menindee and Broken Hill. The crack reportedly occurred sometime last week, but the region supplier Essential Water only started repairs this week. The company's operations manager says the crack was only causing a minor leak and wasn't classified as a high-level priority. The Menindee pipeline is more than 50 years old and currently services 17,000 residents in Broken Hill. A Whyalla man will face court on drug trafficking charges following a search yesterday. Police stopped a car on Hawke Street in Whyalla Jenkins following a public tip-off. Allegedly, 5 grams of methamphetamine, a taser and $2,500 worth of cash were found. A further search of the man's house allegedly uncovered another $18,000, which police will allege are profits from trafficking. The 25-year-old was charged with drug trafficking and possession of an unlawful weapon. He's been bailed to appear in court in March. Whyalla MP Eddie Hughes says changes to medical checkups for driver licences will leave regional people worse off. He says country residents could be forced to travel to Adelaide and see specialists, which would eat up valuable time and money.
Getting back on the roads after a medical scare is a necessity for many people, but first they have to go through a medical check to ensure they're fit to drive. Up until recently, a GP could sign off, but Member for Giles Eddie Hughes says that's changed.
People now have to see a specialist, and that seriously disadvantages people that live in country South Australia.
The regulations mean people on the EP could have to drive up to 8 hours to get a tick of approval. Mr Hughes says he's received calls from doctors and concerned residents worried about the impact of these changes and if you're reliant on the public system. Mr Hughes says the waiting list adds to the stress.
You're on the public waiting list, you might have to wait a long time.
He's set to lobby federal and state MPs for a return to the old system, saying it worked in the past.
A one-off visit to a specialist to get something ticked off on is not the way to go. Let the GP handle it at the GP level in the community where the GP knows the people.
The State Transport Department forwarded us to Ausroads, the national transport body. In a statement, they confirmed the guidelines, but also say people waiting on a specialist appointment can seek a temporary licence. John Hunt, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Former Greens MP turned independent Jeremy Buckingham says he wants to be part of the potential water debate. He believes he would provide a strong voice between the major parties, but the state's water minister is sceptical.
2 is company, 3's a crowd?
I think we just need to focus on those that actually can implement change, and that's either the government or the opposition.
Jeremy Buckingham has been a fierce fighter for the Darling River across many years. It's for this reason he believes he should have a seat at the table. Mr Buckingham has challenged the state government and Labor to open up the debate so the people can hear his voice on the recent fish kill, the current state of things and the future of the system. He believes he'll play a unique role in the debate, calling it how he sees it without fear of any party line. Labor is all for it.
If you've got a plan to fix the Darling, if you think you've got ideas to make the water management in the Far West better, then you should be given a seat at the table and let the voters make up their mind at the end of the day.
But Mr Blair disagrees. He says he wants the debate to be a true discussion of future water policies, not political grandstanding from a former Greens member.
He's not even in a party, so he's an individual. And it would be very difficult if he had any policies to be able to get them implemented at all. So where do you stop? And I think it would just be grandstanding for him.
There's been no update on when or where it'll be held. At this point, it remains unclear if Mr Buckingham will take part in the debate. Patrick Ryanke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us, still to come tonight. Port Augusta locals reflect on what the Australia Day date means to Indigenous people and meet this year's South Australian Citizen of the Year. Welcome back. Locals in Port Augusta have held a special ceremony to reflect on what Australia Day means to Aboriginal people. It is the first time such an event has been held in the town, fueling new discussion about changing the date of our National Day.
For many Australians, January 26 is about flags, a few drinks and a relaxing day. However, for Aboriginals, the day signifies a sad history of mistreatment and injustice.
It's been a sad journey for some of our people, for our elders.
Young and old came together to hold a special ceremony in Port Augusta to reflect on the significance of the day.
It's a sad time around January the 26th. And it's how we, look back to see what's happened, but also how we move forward.
A colonial history marred by the killing of Aboriginal people and the assimilation policy has many still carrying grief and sadness. Organisers say the ceremony is an important step in addressing those emotions.
And giving our community a space to come and to sit and to listen, and most of all probably to reflect.
As well as to educate the younger generation.
It's one thing our children deserve, to be told the truth.
The ceremony reignited local debate about changing the date of our National Day.
I'd love to change the date to be a lot more respectful for the Aboriginal communities and people, but also more importantly and fundamentally to change the attitudes in which the society views that day.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The 2019 South Australian Citizen of the Year has been awarded to a humble Eyre Peninsula local. Ingrid Kennelly has been recognised for her outstanding contribution to the Cummins community following a family tragedy.
When tragedy turns into a shining light in the community. 9 years ago, Ingrid Kennelly's husband took his life, and since then she's worked hard supporting others in her hometown of Cummins.
It was a horrific, tragic time for us, and the community gave to us, embraced us as a family, and as time's gone on I've shared our journey. I'm very open with it.
Her story has helped plenty of friends and strangers along the way.
If I can inspire one person to make a positive out of a tragedy, I've achieved something.
It's her work as a mentor for suicide prevention and mental health today, along with her many other community roles, that's earned her the recognition as South Australia's 2019 Citizen of the Year. And the presentation at Government House this week was made extra special with a surprise visit from her son Jacob, who was drafted to Geelong last year.
I said, it's not worth coming over. Jacob, he surprised me, and Geelong released him for the night, and yeah, I walked in and there he was.
And her daughter Nikita couldn't be more proud of the inspiration and role model her mum has become.
So proud, like the year we've had and all the previous years, it's been amazing, and she's just an amazing woman. I love her.
Casey Treloar, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A controversial mural on the side of a local doctor's surgery in Broken Hill will soon be painted over. Work on the mural next to Natchiappin surgery in the city's CBD was stopped by the City Council over 10 months ago. It was revealed the artwork did not have a development application or a heritage impact statement lodged with officials. Attempts to approve it retrospectively failed, and the mural has remained unfinished ever since. The doctor has been given until the end of the month to paint over the mural. Locals are encouraged to catch one last glimpse before it again becomes a blank wall. The final upgrades to Port Lincoln's Leisure Centre have received a welcome boost from the state government. Yesterday, the Recreation and Sport Minister visited the centre to provide a contribution to the expansion, which is already well underway.
The expansion of the basketball courts and the squash courts as well, the lift going in, and also to be able to contribute $190,000 towards some extra seating and also some solar panelling as well.
Mr Wingard said the cheque was to be credited to local member for Flinders, Peter Treloar, because he has championed for the funding. The Australian Labor Party is calling on the federal government to grant mechanics easier access to data. Independently owned companies often struggle to fix modern cars due to the inaccessibility of their onboard computers.
Fixing cars in regional areas isn't what it used to be. The Senate candidate, Mariel Smith, has hit the road to voice her support for the Your Car, Your Choice campaign.
Requiring our manufacturers to share the data and information needed so that independent repairers and family-owned businesses like Thompson's Auto Repairs here in Port Pirie are able to service cars.
Today's vehicles house a complicated network of computers and sensors, which require coding from the original supplier. For local mechanics, accessing this information is almost impossible, and many are forced to trawl through online forums to find the answer.
You've got to pick and choose your battles, and the last thing you want to do is do the wrong thing by your customer.
For independent mechanics, a number of cars will have to be turned away. Their recalls impossible to fix without access to the appropriate information, and a number of cars are having to be towed away by truck to a dealership in Adelaide. It's a trend that Australia appears to be ignoring. A majority of developed nations force manufacturers to disclose data to smaller auto repair businesses. Changing the rules here could make a world of difference.
This is so important for consumers because it means consumers will get a choice about where they have their car serviced.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Regional Development Far West says it is excited for what 2019 will hold for the Outback New South Wales region. The company is continuing to push its Far West Proud campaign aimed at helping people love where they live.
Be proud to be in the Far West.
Moving into the new year, Far West Proud will continue to work with communities throughout the region in order to promote the Far West as an ideal location to live, visit and invest.
The Far West Proud campaign is championed by Regional Development Far West. It aims to highlight what makes the region great, not just in Broken Hill, but Wilcannia, Tibooburra, Silverton and many more townships. The campaign showcases the attractions, the people and the opportunities to be part of such a beautiful region.
We'll continue to work with local people, local business and local organisation, engaging them in the positive conversation about what is Far West New South Wales, ultimately encouraging them to love where they live. So in doing so, we'll be able to achieve the ultimate goal of population growth throughout our region.
The major epicentre of the Far West Proud campaign is in its website, which gets thousands of visits a day. It provides any visitor a look at what the region is like, where to go, what to see and plenty more. The local champions and Sporting Hall of Fame pages also putting the spotlight on the region's great achievers.
If anyone's looking to know more about Far West Proud or get involved, to jump on our website, which is www.lovethefarwest.com.au, or pop in and see us here at RDA and we're more than happy to have a chat.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. After the break, we'll bring you this week's fuel prices and a new truck boosting the Corn SES's firefighting capabilities. Welcome back. The Corn SES has another new piece of equipment at its headquarters after receiving a new truck. The new vehicle is one of 5 rolled out across the region and will greatly assist volunteers in rapid response situations.
With its blue and red lights, trademark SES logo and dazzling new coat of paint, this vehicle is the latest addition to the unit's garage.
They came up with this lovely new bit of kit and I've got to say so far it's very impressive.
The new set of wheels replaces Corn's old road crash rescue truck, which was retired after 20 years of service.
So we've rolled out 5 new vehicles across the region over the last financial year. So it's about a $1.5 million investment into the area.
As well as a hydraulic searchlight. The vehicle has other new improvements to aid volunteers with rescue tools, like the Jaws of Life and splitters.
They're quite heavy, they weigh about 20 kilos each. And these will now come out on special slides to make it easy for us to lift out.
It will allow SES members to respond quicker to emergency situations, which in some cases are a matter of life and death. The vehicle is set to be a big boost for the unit, but with only 9 volunteers, more hands on deck would greatly improve their ability to serve the local community.
It's hard during the week when everyone's at work and there's a crash. Sometimes it can only be a couple of people about.
Anyone interested in joining can visit the SES website and click on the volunteer section. Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Time now for Fuel Watch. Here's Pat in Broken Hill.
Well, petrol prices look to be back on the rise once again as many of us prepare to travel away on the long weekend. Starting with unleaded and Port Lincoln are the lucky ones, seeing a small drop in the average. Whyalla is the only one to break even on $1.32, 2 cents dearer than Lincoln. Port Augusta and Port Pirie have both climbed by 2 cents from last week. The prices are hovering around $1.29 and $1.27. Kadina is still the cheapest in the Spencer Gulf, but it's had a pretty bad week. $1.22 has turned into $1.26, an untimely 4 cent spike ahead of the Australia Day festivities. Broken Hill has seen a little upward movement, but we're still paying around $1.38. Adelaide isn't doing much better, going up to a somewhat pricey $1.37. To diesel now, and it's mixed results. Port Lincoln has gone down by just over a cent, while Isla's breaking even, with Port Augusta also seeing no movement. Port Pirie has gone up by about a cent, while Kadina is seeing red, but the change is only minor. Broken Hill had a good week, going down by a little bit. The price here is now $1.46. Adelaide rounds out the board with a 3-cent increase. And finishing off with a quick look at Autogas, or LPG, Port Lincoln has had a bad time, but conversely Whyalla is paying 94 cents after having a good week. Port Pirie and Kadina are a whole 10 cents cheaper. Port Augusta has seen no movement, Broken Hill is down to 91 cents and Adelaide has evened out on 83. And of course remember that these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet.
After the break, we'll take a look at the weather forecast. Welcome back. Now time to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Britt Aylen.
Thanks, Louise. We've had a hot and mostly sunny day across the region. Port Augusta with a top temperature of 45. It was 40 at Whyalla, 31 at Port Lincoln, 42 at Broken Hill and 43 at Port Pirie. Patchy but mainly clear skies sat over the Gulf today amid a ridge of high pressure. Tomorrow a low pressure system will move past the south of the country with a trough extending northwards to bring a mild change. On the waters, southerly winds tending southwesterly at up to 20 knots, seas to 1 metre. The sun is due to rise just after 6:30 with sunset at 8:31. Wind across some parts tomorrow, a gusty 45 the top for Port Lincoln. Strong winds also expected at Coffin Bay, Woodna and Cleve. Port Augusta fine and 47, Broken Hill sunny and 44, Whyalla, Port Pirie and Kadina all with a max of 46. And looking ahead to the end of the week, with Thursday's late change bringing lower temperatures on Friday. A fine few days ahead for Port Lincoln with highs in the late 20s through the weekend. Cleve 34 on Friday, showers expected on Saturday but clearing up before Sunday. A fine and mostly sunny forecast for Woodna to end the week. Down to 33 at Whyalla on Friday, showers on Saturday but fine and 24 on Sunday. Temperatures dropping at Port Augusta, Friday 30 degrees but even cooler by Sunday with a top of 27. Kadina fine on Friday with some showers on Saturday. Port Pirie 35 on Friday, Saturday 33 with a chance of showers, 29 on Sunday. Clare down to 34 on Friday and cooling down further across the weekend. Broken Hill keeping temperatures high through till Sunday with the maximum dropping by 10 degrees. And that's all for Wednesday's weather. Louise, it's back to you.
Thanks for that, Britt. And that's your local news this Wednesday evening. We thank you for your company. We'll have updates again later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.